Unit 6, Part 2, Groundwater and Vertical Distribution of Groundwater. The groundwater means the water which is occupying all the void spaces or vacant spaces within a geological stratum. It will be called as groundwater. The air fills spaces between the soil particles, and you can see the next image, the water fills the spaces between the soil particles. When it is filled with air, that will be called a zone of aeration or unsaturated zone. When it is filled with water, that particular zone in the geological stratum, it will be called a zone of saturation or groundwater zone, simply the water table. Then you can also see an impermeable layer which will hold the water from draining in that particular region. Groundwater is having influencing factors because it is influenced by topography, which means the surface cover. Next, morphology, which means the surface formation. Next, soil conditions. Next, lithology. Next, last one is structural aspect. The soil, if it is porous or if it is sandy, that will pass most of the water which is obtained through rain, pass through that particular soil and drain deep. Next comes lithology. The lithology represents the formation of rocks and other layers of minerals in a particular geological location. Next, structural aspect. The structural aspect also plays an important role. If it is having fault lines, joints, that may lead to leakage of water and it will be again taken to a unreachable location in the geological part for a human being. Next, the vertical distribution of groundwater. So the groundwater is assumed to get distributed in two zones of a geological location. So first comes the zone of aeration or the unsaturated zone. Next comes zone of saturation or the saturated zone. You can see the image. When it is raining, it will be called as precipitation. The rain waters will fall down. It will pass through the different layers of soil and it will pass through first soil zone, next comes vadose zone, and next comes capillary fringe, and finally it reaches the water table. So the soil zone, vadose zone and capillary fringe, it will be called as unsaturated zone, and the water which is below capillary fringe, it will be called as water table, or the zone it will be called as saturated zone. So you can also see that few of the water escapes, few quantity of water will escape through plants through the process of evapotranspiration, and there will also be transpiration and evaporation combined when there is raining process or precipitation process. So we'll go into the topic of zone of aeration. The zone of aeration is again divided into soil water zone, vadose zone, capillary zone, and we'll start studying deeply about soil water zone. So soil water zone covers, it represents the top soil or the top cover soil where it contains soil water and pellicular water. Soil water is called as vadose water, which is near to the surface of the plant roots and it will be available to the plants. Pellicular water is the water held by the molecular attraction or simply adhesion to the walls of rocks and soil particles in the form of film or even like a skin, which means after gravity has taken the portion of water which is under its influence, the water which is remaining, it will be called as pellicular water. Next comes the soil moisture. The soil moisture is dependent upon porosity and permeability of the soil. Tensiometer is used to measure the soil moisture percentage in a soil. The soil moisture plays an important role because water is held by the soil particles by capillary forces. The capillary forces are simply to understand when you take a straw and insert into a glass of water, then the water inside the straw will raise up. This particular force, it will be called as capillary force. The vadose zone may contain a three-phase system. So it will contain solid, liquid and gases. If it is solid, it will be mineral grains and organic material. If it is liquid, it will be water with dissolved solutes. If it is gases, then it could be water vapors and other earth related gases. So we can see the effect of porosity and permeability. In the left hand side, you can see there is no pore spaces are available, which means zero porosity is there. So the permeability will also be zero. Then the next, in the middle portion, you can see that there is pores available, but they are not properly connected together. So there is porosity, but permeability will be zero. In the right hand side portion of the image, you can see that the porosity is higher and permeability will also be higher. So if you are finding a geological condition where there is zero porosity and there will be zero permeability, and where there is less porosity and there will also be less permeability, if there is very high porosity and the permeability will also be very high. So both are equally related together. Next comes in soil water zone, the water can be divided into three categories. Hygroscopic water. This hygroscopic water will not be available to soils because it is formed as a thin film around the soil particles. It will be very tightly bound by molecular forces. It cannot be removed by natural forces. So the pressure may increase up to 10,000 bars. Even the pressure level of sea, it will be 1013 millibars, that is equal to almost 1 bar. So very high pressure will be present between the hygroscopic water molecule and the soil molecule. Next comes the capillary water. The capillary water is held by the cohesive forces between the thin films of hygroscopic water. So for example, the water which is present between hygroscopic water and the soil roots or the pores, it will be called as hygroscopic water. The binding pressure of the capillary water is much less than the hygroscopic water, so it can be easily removed by air drying or by plant absorption, but it cannot be removed by gravity. Okay. Then next comes the plants extract this water through their roots. So if the capillary force is equal to the suction force of the root, then the water will be transmitted. If the capillary force is very less than the suction force, then the water will not be available to the plants. So then at this point the plant starts to wilt. It will be called as wilting point. Next comes gravitational water. So the name itself enough, it will say that due to gravity the water will be pulled down to the water table. It drains readily, and the process of rainwater, when it starts seeping on the soil water zone or zone of aeration to the water table or zone of saturation, it will be called as an infiltration process, which means the seepage of water from the top surface of earth to the water table. It will be called as infiltration process. The infiltration process is affected by numerous environmental factors that control the ability of the soil matrix to transmit the water. Those include rate of water delivery, which means how much is it raining or how much snow water is supplied. When the snow melts, it will supply water. The next, depth of ponding on the surface, which means how much depth the water will stand on the surface of soil. Next, hydraulic conductivity of the soil, how much the soil is able to hold the water. Next comes soil porosity, how much the soil is porous. If it is highly porous, it will make all the water pass to the water table. The next, pre-existing moisture content, which means if the soil pores are already filled with water, it will be the water conductivity or the water moisture will be higher. So that is the reason why further the rainwater will drain, it will not enter to the water table. Next comes slope and roughness of the surface. Now, because if it is a smooth surface, the water will drain easily. If it is a higher slope, the water will drain easily. If it is a medium slope, the water will take time to drain. Next, chemical characteristics. The soil could be hydrophobic or hydrophilic. If it is hydrophobic, it will repel water. If it is hydrophilic, it will attract water. And physical and chemical properties of water is also important. The temperature of the water is important because that decides the density characteristics. The next, acidity of the water is also important, and dissolved constituents. If the chemicals which are present in the earth's surface which gets dissolved in the water, if it turns to be a different chemical composition which will not allow easy seepage of water to the water table. Next, zone of aeration. So this is the in the zone of aeration, we are going to study about intermediate vadose zone. The vadose zone, which will be lying between soil moisture zone and the capillary zone. The water sinks into this zone either by gravity or by to the underlying saturated zone, or it is drawn by molecular attraction into the capillary forces location in the transition zone. It is always under dynamic influence of capillary zone. It gets filled up when the water table rises to the surface. Next, capillary zone. So this is the zone which is above water table, and you know well, there is pores present in the soil which will be acting like little holes, and that particular holes will naturally get filled up by the groundwater table water. This water will rise up, and it is originated due to the capillary fringes rising from the zone of saturation through the tube-like interconnected interstitial openings, which means the pores in the soil that will start behaving like a tube-like structure to create capillary forces in that particular pores and to suck water upwards. So this water, it will be called as capillary water, that will be above the very near that will be above the water table, and which is also very near to the water table. This is the lowermost zone of aeration, the zone immediately above the water table into which water may be drawn upward as a consequence of capillary action. The zone is typically saturated up to some distance, and if the grain size is varying continuously, then the capillary force will also vary. For example, if a pore radius of 0.0005 millimeter might be 3 meter to create a capillary force of 3 meter. But if the pore size if the pore size is 0.02 millimeter, which is a typical example of sand, then the water will rise only up to a 10 centimeter due to capillary action. The capillary potential, which means the amount of work required to move a unit weight of water from free water surface to a specified point in the soil surface from the water table. So it will be called as capillary potential. Next is capillary movement. It is the movement of water by capillarity in a porous medium. Next comes the last zone, zone of saturation, which means in the name itself says that the soil particles will be completely covered by water molecules. So you can see in this particular diagram, there is a top portion of the land which will be called as unsaturated zone, that will include land surface, and there is an open water body, and below that unsaturated zone you can find water table, and saturated zone, simply it will be called as groundwater. If the rocks are fractured, then it can also transfer water to the ground under to the water table. So if gravels are present, that will be highly porous, and it will have maximum permeability to transfer water. So you can see a typical example of waterfall in between the broken rocks. So there is a water table which is saturated, and due to the sudden weak portion of this particular rock, the water is getting drained out of that water table. The next comes the details about zone of saturation. The zone below water table, it is called as the zone of saturation. It is also called as phreatic zone. The zone of saturation is also referred to an aquifer. That will be the next topic of this particular unit. The water table is defined as the level beneath the earth's surface below which all pore spaces are filled with water, above which there will be air spaces or capillary spaces, or simply the zone of aeration. The zone of saturation is beneath the water table where all the pores are completely filled with water and water exists within this zone. It will be called as groundwater. The thickness of this zone varies from few feet to several hundred feet. It again depends upon the geology and pores present in that particular water, nature of soil, permeability and porosity, and the amount of recharge points and the quantity of water that is getting into this particular recharge locations. Then saturation is again, it could be transient or it could be time variant, because it depends upon the rainwater or simply precipitation and infiltration capacity of that particular soil. Again, this particular saturation can vary from few days, few weeks, or even to several months, because it again depends upon the quantity of rain, nature of soil, porosity, permeability, and other available influencing infiltration factors. Here groundwater is again regulated, or groundwater is controlled by rainfall, which means how frequent the rains are. Then next, the amount of vaporation and vaporization in that particular zone, either by evapotranspiration or evaporation. Temperature of that particular area, slope of the land, dryness of air, porosity, permeability, vegetation cover, and finally absorbing capacity of the soil. Again, the main source of groundwater is rainfall. It infiltrates or seeps slowly into the earth and collects there. It is also called as plutonic water. Groundwater is an important part of the water cycle, which is also includes that part of surface and atmospheric water which goes underground through rainfall, rivers and lakes. Because when the water enters into the zone of saturation, which means called as the groundwater or the water table, again that particular water will drain into rivers or lakes, and finally that will also reach to the sea. Thank you.